YouTube, my name's Lance. Welcome to Bundy Bears Shed. Well, what's been going on since we spoke last? It's been a fortnight. We didn't do a video last week as we went away to the nephew's wedding down at Woodgate. I caught up with all the rallies and I had 10 or 14 quiet beers. That was on Friday. Then Saturday we did the same. Snuck in a couple of coffees, you know, went to the coffee shops and sat there drinking coffee with our pinkies up and yeah, pretending we knew what we were doing. Yeah, but look, it was a great weekend. Great to catch up with the relations we don't see often. A lot of them live, you know, quite a few hours away, so we all have to put in a special effort to get together. And the wedding was a good thing that gave that opportunity to get together and have a bit of fun. So it was a good thing. They went down, the groom had a white shirt, grey shorts and thongs on down the beach, and the girls had pretty dresses on and barefoot down on the beach, and they got married with the surf behind them. And yeah, look, it was just a nice do. So we went away in the caravan and had a camp up and enjoyed ourselves. Well, I better do the weather report. It's about 6:30 in the morning. We're sitting at 85% humidity at the moment, and the temperature is just on 30, so it's not too bad. We're struggling at the moment with humidity. Man, is it humid. Saturday I had to mow the grass. We hadn't mowed it for a couple of weeks, so we have 8 acres here, and we mow an orchard and round my Bundy Bears shed here and up at the house and all that, so it takes a while to do that. And so yeah, Saturday nothing much happened in the shed, and Sunday, which is yesterday, yeah, I mucked around with my new ute, and but that's another story. but look, the weather, there's a cyclone coming across up near Bowen probably over the next few days. Its name's Debbie. Debbie does Bowen, we're calling it. And down this far, we're 10 hours, I suppose, drive away from there. But so it's not going to affect us. We have some friends up there, and they're battening the hatches. And every couple of years, it seems to be something. But it'll cross the coast at around Category 4, they're saying. So it's got a bit of steam to it. It's a big thing. Last night, I haven't had a good look this morning, but last night the eye was 90 miles across, and there'll be winds from each side of the eye, or around the eye, of around 200 kilometres radius from the centre of the eye. And so, yeah, the bit of Queensland, probably 400 or 500 k's or miles probably, is yeah, it'd probably blow your hat off. So, yeah, so the weather, it's the first cyclone for the season. They were predicting 13 of them this season, so I don't know, someone rooted it all up, but anyway, one's plenty. So, look at, moving on to my new ute. Last week, I'd ordered a new ute a while ago, and last week it turned up, and I've had a white Mitsubishi Triton, an MN they call it, which is a 2010 model, and it's been a cracker car. Like not a spanner has ever gone near it, and I over service them, that's just what mechanics do. And at the first 1,000 kilometres it had an oil change, and at 2.5 it had another one at 5, and then at 10,000. So the main idea was getting all that running in rubbish out of your motor, and because we sell oil, we can buy oil at a competitive rate, so we always use the synthetic oil, or the best we can afford in it, because it's not that expensive for us. But in saying that, we have super cheap auto and Autobarn over here, and sometimes when they have oil on special, us as resellers, we can't buy it that cheap, so keep your eye out for the bargains, and they'll be there. But yeah, look, the new ute turned up. It's another Mitsubishi Triton dual cab ute. It's a MQ, this model they call it. It's the Exceed, and it's got shit in it you wouldn't believe. But anyway, it's a good thing. Yeah, the motors get smaller and they wring their neck a little bit more to get the horsepower out. I've put a throttle controller on it already just to try and make the throttle a bit more responsive. I noticed with all these new utes, and it doesn't matter which brand I drove, they're real doughy off the mark. They've got that turbo lag, and oh, they're a bloody podgy heap of shit when you first get them off the block. So I've always played with mine and hotted them up a bit and got them going. So yeah, first job yesterday was put the throttle controller on, and it's called a wind booster throttle controller, and all it does, because it's fly by wire, it just alters the signal from your foot throttle to your ECU, so it tells it it's going a bit hard. You probably lose a little bit of mileage, but it makes it nice and snappy, so that's good. The no, I mean, the it's got. Oh, I put a battery tray in yesterday, which was a bloody fiddle. They say it's an hour to put the extra battery tray in, and the reason we run an extra battery is we do get out and about a bit, and I'll put a fridge slide in the back, and we'll run a fridge, like an Engel. Is a great brand fridge, an Engel, E-N-G-E-L, and we have an Engel, and sometimes I swap it from ute to ute. So we put the dual battery system in there so that when we drive along, there's a voltage sensitive relay that we fit, and once the main battery gets up to about 12.5 volts, the points in the voltage sensitive relay close and they start charging the auxiliary battery. Then when you park up, you go to the shop or the pub or wherever you'd like to go, your fridge can run off your auxiliary battery, and if you're there a bit longer than you think you're going to be, and the back battery gets a bit doughy, you still have a great start battery. Once the two batteries stay together, if your auxiliary battery's low, you start your car. Once this one's right up on top line, your main battery, well then the points close and they pick up. And then they both stay up on peak, and when they slowly drop together, and they get to about 12.2 volts, or 12 point something anyway, yeah, the points open, and then you can start draining the back battery down. And the other advantage of doing that is you put a little switch on your dash, and at any time, say your start battery, you've left your lights on or something, which you can't do in this anyway, but if your front battery has a fail, you can always click the switch on the dash, shut the points, and jump start off your back battery. So we've always had that on our cars, and I have to hook that up yet. And so I've got the battery tray in, and I haven't got the battery the right size for it yet, so we'll work on that this week, I suppose. And another thing, I don't know if you're aware, with all these new diesel engines, especially the turbocharged ones, the environmental people, the greenies and the whoever has the bloody say, remember the old days when you used to have the breather off your tappet cover or rocker cover, and it'd just go down the side of the engine, and if your engine was getting a bit dicky, you'd see a bit of steam coming out, or yeah, a bit of oily vapour, and a few drips on the ground. Well, you're not allowed to do that now. So what they do in all their wisdom to clean up the environment is that line from your engine crankcase breather, they put it between your turbocharger and your air cleaner. So your turbo's sucking in, and they drop this oily vapour in there. So what's that do? Well, apart from putting it out into the environment, it goes through your turbo, coats your turbo vanes with a light film of oil, but particularly if you have a front mounted intercooler, like a lot of these new cars do, that oily film goes into your intercooler, gets cooled down, and when you go from a pipe this big and then you go into a intercooler tank, and the air slows down, goes over all the vanes and slows down and spreads out a bit. Well, over time, that intercooler will get an oily film in it, and it's not uncommon on the new engines, if you pull an intercooler off at 20, 30,000 kilometres, 50,000 kilometres, and you look in the intercooler and it'll be an oily film of just shit in there. And so you can rinse it out, and we've done tests, and it's not unreasonable to test the air going into your engine after an intercooler with a dirty one and pull it off, clean it out, rinse it out with petrol, which you're not supposed to do, but anyway, petrol works great. And you'll cool the air going into your engine by up to 10 degrees, we found. So by keeping your intercooler clean, you bring colder air into your engine. The denser the air, the better the burn you get, the more oxygen in it. So you remember when you used to sneak out the back and give your mate a bit of a drag out when the police weren't watching? Not that I ever done that, but I read about it. The cars always went better overnight because the air was more dense and more oxygen. Well, I don't know if it was more oxygen, but anyway, you got a better burn. So, and another thing they do is they bring some of your exhaust gas back into your engine through an EGR valve, which is exhaust gas recirculation, and that looks like a throttle body almost, but it's got a taper in there, and that the computer opens that taper and closes it. So what they do, in all their wisdom, they bring this oily film in, and then when it gets to the inlet manifold there, they decide to put a bit of hot exhaust gas in with it. So this oily film promptly gets hot and turns to tarry stuff. And so your inlet manifold and your inlet ports often end up with this tarry shit in there, and they get quite blocked. They get quite a lot of soot, and some cars in the when they get to 50,000 k's, some of the dealerships I know are popping the inlet manifolds off and getting them clean, dropping them in a bath and cleaning them up, and they reckon the performance you pick up from just cleaning them is great. So how do you fix all this? Well, in some of my other cars I've put an EGR blanking plate in, and you can't put a block plate in. It's against the law to have a block plate in. You'll get pinged. Not that they've ever asked me to lift my bonnet, but we used to leave a little 10mm hole, so it's still got some in there, and you didn't throw a code. But I've changed my mind on that nowadays. I think the EGR valve, well, why you introduce warm air into an engine's got me rude, but you can get them tuned now, and this new Triton, there's actually a harness available for, look, it's $100, and you can put a harness in, and it's got a diode and a resistor in there, and it actually blocks your EGR closed and doesn't put a code up on the computer. So there's that we can do. But the other thing that you should be doing on all these diesel engines is fitting a catch can. Now that is a catch can. I'll just take the bracket off so you're not getting the bracket mixed up. It has a bracket that you just bolt on to wherever it fits. So this is a catch can, and what the catch can does is you take a hose from your inlet, from your crankcase ventilation, from your tappet cover. You put him on the top one here. Now what happens from there? It's all O-ring. This is a Pro Vent one. So the air comes in the hole here, circulates around here and goes down the hole there. Now in the hole there is a stainless steel mesh. So it goes down the centre of the stainless steel mesh. It's just a dark hole there, isn't it? Goes down there, and when it goes down there, the air flows through, but the oil forms droplets on the side here. And then you take this hose off here, the one from your lower outlet, and you put that back onto your turbo. So what you're doing, you're bringing that oily vapour in here, you're separating the oil from the vapour, and you're putting a clean oil sample there. This little tip down here, there is an option on this bottom one of actually dropping a return line back into the sump, but I don't know, I've got my doubts about that bit. I reckon if you drop that into the sump and you've got a bit of crankcase ventilation going back up, it's not the best. But anyway, I may have my wires crossed there. So what we do here is we put a hose and a little tap on there, and when you do your oil changes, or it's often a clear hose and you notice it's starting to fill up, you just drain the oil away. And it does quite a bit of oil, you know, it makes oil. So it has a little valve in the cap, and that's so if you have an engine failure, you don't pressurise your turbo, it blows right out the top. So that's a job coming up on the new Triton. But yeah, just they make these new cars, look, they're lovely, but some of that stuff they do, like to put that on the car from standard would cost 3/5 of F all, and you wonder why they just don't do it instead of having troubles. But look, it's a great thing. It's a MQ Triton Exceed, and it's the top of the range one. It's got leather seats, and oh, she cut some capers. It's smarter than the bloke driving it when I'm driving anyway. It's got automatic wipers, and it was raining here the other day, and yeah, driving to work, and the heavier the rain got, the more the wipers sped up. And it's got automatic headlights. You just leave everything on auto, and the headlights pop on when it's time. And the inside rear view mirror has got little sensors in it, and when someone comes up behind you with their lights on, it just dims it, and it's clear as crystal. Yeah, and when you're towing, you know, when you tow something and the back of the car goes down a little bit, you can press a button or roll a little thing, and you can adjust your headlights down 4 degrees. It hooks straight up to my iPhone, and when I'm driving along, I can press a button and I can just say, oh, ring Harry, and it comes back and says, oh, Harry's got a home number and a mobile, which one would you like? And you just talk to the dash, and away it goes. And the GPS is there. We got Lovey in the dash to chat to, and all reverse cameras and bloody all sorts of stuff. Yeah, and actually when you're towing, one nifty little thing, it's automatic, and you have your D for drag or D for drive. You put it in D for drag, and away you go. And it's a sports shift, same as a Colorado, and if you want to change it manually, you pop the gear stick across, and then if you just flick it back one, it'll return to neutral, or it'll return to centre, but you'll drop a gear and flick it forward, it goes up a gear. But we've got paddles on the steering wheel now, like a Formula 1 ute, truck, ute. Americans call them trucks, we call them utes. And yeah, when you're towing and you'd like it to change a bit sooner, on the paddles you just pop a paddle back, and that'll make it drop a gear. Then this other one here, it makes it pick up a gear, and then hold it for 2 seconds and it goes back into auto. But all this stuff, yeah, I hope it doesn't shit itself, because I won't know what to do with it. But anyway, so I'll take you for a bit of a walk around the new ute, just because it's new. As for working in the shop here, yesterday I put a couple of hours into assembling the milling machine. We're getting places with it. That winding handle on the side, the manual up and down, I'm going to leave that off. I had a look at it and I thought, oh, the casting's actually a bit crooked, I reckon. And where they've put it on to get the gears, that's why they've shimmed it like that. But look, I never use that handle. Like, it's very, very rare. I have used it in the past if I just wanted to pick up 1 or 2 thou for something, you know, for the height of a end mill cutter or something like that. So what I'm going to do there, I've paid for it, bought it, but I haven't received it yet, is on the main quill going up and down, like you have the whole dovetail at the back that brings your whole milling head up and down, and that's driven by a motor, that's under power. And then it had a little winder handle, and you could override that and do it manually. But when you did it manually, you had no fine adjustment on it, and on the mill, where you can pull the handle out and use it like a drill press. When you wind that in, you have a little worm wheel there with metric graduations on it. Graduations, easy for me to say. And look, what we're going to do is on the front of the milling machine here, where you have a pointer saying how far up and down you are, we're going to put a Vernier style DRO there. Now, not the full one, it's just one so high, I think it's about 12 inches, and it has a Vernier head facing you, just like on a digital vernier. So the idea of that is that we can come down to a set thing, we can go down another 5 thou, 10 thou, whatever we like. So rather than read the dials, which I've never trusted 100%, we'll read a little DRO. So we haven't got that yet, but I'm hoping to get the mill finished today. I got the head on yesterday. I've got all the leads screwed back in. I've got the motor up on the top. It's powering up and down. I've got the limit switches all in and set. I've got the jib set for the up and down. I need to put some covers over the ways. The other ones were old and buggered, and I need to give it a good clean up. And it's that humid here that what I'm having trouble with is see the rust on there. And I have to, before I go home of an afternoon, I have to give everything a wipe and a quick look over, because this here, I had my arm resting on it and I didn't wipe it over, and that's just from the sweat off my arm. I've got a bit on my mill vise and a little bit on my chuck, and that's how hot it's been. Just the salt and the moisture in the air, it's making things rust. So I've got the old WD spray going, and everywhere I go, before I go home, I try and cover everything with this WD spray to stop the rust. But anyway, look, that's enough chatting for the time. I'll take you out and give you a quick look at the ute, and a quick look at what we've been up to on the mill. And I'm really keen to get back into this little engine, this little Fairbanks Morse, but last time I went to do a bit to that, that's when I noticed the mill was buggered, so everything stopped to fix the milling machine. So I am a bit keen on that, and yeah, I'd like to get into that and get it going, and yeah, it'll be a real sense of achievement to have it done, and we'll tidy it up and get it running and all that. So hopefully when I get the mill going, I do have to work on this new ute where the hose is coming out of the vehicle, a 3/4, and you can only buy these with 1 inch. So I've thought about putting an alloy slug up in here with a 3/4 tail. If I do that, I'll have to make it. But these holes need reaming because they're blow moulded plastic, or, well, I'm not sure the terminology for that stuff, but the hole at the front here is a different size to the hole at the back there. So I might just run a hand ream down there and true that up, and then make a little slug to stick in there, and either glue it in, or I had a look at a YouTube clip and a fellow was fitting one, and he put little Allen head screws down, which is probably a good idea. And so we have to make a bracket and things for that, but there's no urgency for this. I need to clean up the lay. Everything's just a mess here at the moment. Which just, when you go away, it's good to go away, but things fall behind. So so it's more important in my mind at the moment to finish the milling machine, get that finished and serviceable before we go doing too much else. So anyway, stay tuned. We'll just take you for a quick little walk around. There'll be no machining, I don't believe, this time, and we'll just show you what you're up to. It's mainly just a catch up. Well, there you go. That's a new ute. It's not a bad old jigger. When we come around the back here, that rear bar, it's like a bull bar for the back of a vehicle. And look, it was $250, I think it was, dearer than a standard tow bar, and it gives us all that rear protection. It has high lift jacking points on it and things like that. Then it has the dark tint. They call that privacy tint there, and it says lighter tint on the front. I used to think dark tinted windows was if you had an ugly girlfriend. It just tinted them dark. But anyway, we probably shouldn't go there. And another thing is it's got a proximity key, so you don't have to have the key on you. See, the key's inside, it won't let me lock it. I'll just grab the key. So there's the key. We don't touch that. You just press that button and everything locks, and the mirrors fold up. Don't know whatever happens when that shits itself. And when you, if this remote plays up, you can pop the thing and there's a key so you can open the door manually. And if the battery goes flat in here in the remote, you poke it into the dash and it reads the card. So it's all a bit flash, but the I'll just see what you can see there. But yeah, you don't actually have a key to start it. You actually press that button there, and they're the paddles to change gears up and down, and that's the throttle controller I put on. So everything's electric. It's got the screen in the centre. I can you hook your phone up to it and it does all sorts of stuff. So anyway, it's good to have a new toy. We'll spend a few bob on this and get it how we want. There'll be a front bull bar goes on, and yeah, a few bits and pieces, a couple of sump guards, because it is four-wheel drive. It's got it's one of those vehicles where you can select to drive around in four-wheel drive all the time if you like. So yeah, there's a centre diff. There's a diff in the centre of the car, and you can lock that diff. Well, actually, no, I don't think you can lock it, but it's worked out that they can put 60% of torque to the back wheels, 40% to the front, and you can drive around all day on hard surfaces, towing and that, with it in four-wheel drive. But because it has a centre diff, it's more all-wheel drive sort of setup. Then when you want it to be a serious four-wheel drive, you lock the centre diff, and that makes it like a you know, the old lever where you just bang it into four-wheel drive. And then we've also got rear diff lock, so we can lock the rear diffs as well. So there you go. There's where all my money went. All the bank's money. You get to a stage in Australia where you start paying tax, and so if you go and buy a new car or something, you can write that off. And new cars are expensive in Australia. Like this one here, that's, well, with the on the road, so you have to pay, you buy a new car, then the on-road cost that you pay the government for the privilege of being able to buy a new car is $2,300, nearly $2,400, and then the tow bar was a bit extra, that's about $1,200, but yeah, $46,000, so they're bloody dear. I don't know what people pay overseas for their cars, but I would be interested to know what a Japanese four-wheel drive is worth over in other countries. But 46 grand. This is top of the range. The bottom of the range is about 35,000, but it doesn't have diff locks and all-wheel drive and all that sort of thing. It's just a standard old ute. But we will put a canopy on the back in time, same as our other one. But yeah. So anyway, that's show and tell. Well, here we go, here's the milling machine, and I've got all this head back on. We do have to tram it yet, which we have the gear to do. We have to put guards over here and guards on the ways here yet. We do have power down and up. That's working nice and cleanly. The proximity switches here, but that's our limit of travel switches here. We've got them all back on and reset, and the stoppers reset. We had to pull all of that off. When we come around the other side here, all of this DRO set up and all that, we had to remove all of that and set all that up and get all the switches. You've got switches there so you can't turn it when you have the dovetail locked. So that's all done. And look, mainly probably it's just tramming the head and making covers for all this sort of stuff and giving it a clean up. there's rubbish everywhere. So we'll muck around with that today and try and get the head true. Now this here is where that's our up and down. That's loose. That's our up and down on a little thumb wheel here. And yeah, if you undo that, undo the knob out there on the outside, it turns into a drill press type setup. But when you tighten that up, well, then you have a quill feed. So what we're going to do is this surface here, we're going to put a DRO, just a little one, and that'll give us, instead of a ruler here or a scale here, yeah, we'll be able to go so low. You can lock it here, and we can go back to the same depth each time. So set zeros, set increments, and all that sort of thing. So we'll do that. When that turns up, that'll be a little shed job. And at the moment, the head's like mine, a bit bent. Yeah, when you line up the bit of the back, she's on at a bit of an angle, so we have to tram that up. So we'll get all that sorted out. That's a bit of rust, a little bit of rust on the chuck there from me touching it the other day. There's a little bit more down on the vise, down on here.